artists, it's Ms. Messer, your friendly neighborhood art teacher. This week, we are going to be talking about lines and shapes. If you'll remember last week, we talked about dots and lines, and we know that if we take on our dot on a walk, it turns into a line. And something magical happens with lines when we connect a line on itself. It becomes a shape, as we already saw. And today we're just going to practice drawing and coloring in shapes, but this week we get to use our knowledge of shapes to make something great. And I'm not going to spoil it for you. I can't wait to do it with you. But I'm going to go ahead and switch my camera so that you can see my hands. Right. All right. So today you're going to need a pencil, some markers, and if you want something to color in with, you could use those oil pastels, you could use markers, you could use crayons, you can use whatever you want to color in, just something that's going to make you really happy. And you can see I've got my whole piece of paper here, and I want you to work on filling up the space of your whole piece of paper. So not drawing little tiny shapes, but drawing big shapes that fill up the whole space. So I'm going to turn that over and try it again. All right, so you can draw shapes like whose names that you know, like a square. You could draw a circle. And what I'm doing right here is I'm overlapping those shapes. So I'm putting one right on top of another. You could draw triangles. Notice how big I'm drawing my shapes. You could draw rectangles. You could draw shapes that you don't know the names for them. Maybe you make up a shape. So I could make up kind of like a cloudy shape right down here. And I'm going to do a little more overlapping. So maybe I'll repeat a triangle, but I'm going to make it overlap with my rectangle. And I have a little more space up here. I'm going to make up another shape. How about a shape that's kind of like a leaf? That looks pretty good. And I've got room for one more shape down here. Maybe I'll add another circle. Cool. So you can see my paper is filled up with different types of shapes. And the next thing that I'm going to do is take my marker and trace over my shapes. And as always, we don't want to just use one color because that would be boring, right? We want to use as many colors as we can because the more colors that we add to our artwork, the more interesting our artwork looks. There we go. And I could trace over all my shapes. And then I could add my oil pastels or whatever I want to color in with. I could start by coloring in all these little areas that I made. Those look really cool. I could do pattern. So a pattern is a design that repeats. This design down here is straight lines that go green, pink, green, pink, green, pink, green, pink. Now I know a lot about dots, so I could add dots to my artwork. All of those would be really great, interesting ideas that I could add to my artwork. But I could take those dots, maybe I want to turn them into flowers. I could do that too. That looks pretty cool. So our job today is to make as many shapes, fill up our page, draw them nice and big, and show overlap, which is putting one shape on top of another, and then coloring them in a neat and interesting way. I cannot wait to see what you make.